Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Safian. I am going to be your Sherpa, your coach, your tutor, your hand holder through this, your master's degree capstone course. Oh, very exciting. Very exciting because I want you to understand. Oh, I forgot to change the logo. Sorry. Okay. I want you to understand that this is going to be a working capstone. We were talking a little bit before we got started that a capstone is not a capstone is not a capstone, even in the same university. But in this particular program, our capstone is a working capstone where you are going to work to apply some of what you have learned in your previous courses. We are also going to review to help you be prepared. Excuse me, water. To help you, for those of you who will be sitting for the RHIA, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And I know from reading some of the introductions, that not all of you are planning to sit for the RHIA. I know we have some members of our course who want to sit for the CA or CPHIMS, which is great. Okay. The way the course is structured, you must complete all graded assignments. So that means even if you have the RHIA already, or if you really don't want to sit for the RHIA, you're still going to need to complete those assignments. I have no way around that. For those of you who want to take the for the CACPHIMS, there's a lot of letters in there. I will help you separately, but here's the good news. The good news is, in my estimation, the RHIA and the CAHIMS are about 75% the same content. The 25% difference, again, in my opinion, from reviewing and prepping for both exams, I do have the RHIA. I do not have the CPHIMS, but I still work to prep for that exam. And that 25% is a little more managerial leadership with the RHIA and a little more technical, not writing HTML or C++, not that kind of technical, but still a little more of the technical side of health information management and health informatics. Okay, so hopefully that will help you a little bit in deciding where you want to go with your future, because that's what should be the deciding factor. Okay. This course is designed to help you prepare to successfully sit for and pass the RHIA, and ergo, for the most part, the CPHIMS. So what I'm going to tell you is the research has proven that planning to sit for the exam as soon after this course will increase your likelihood of passing by as much as 40%. This is very logical because we are going to review all this stuff. We're going to talk about it in discussions. You're going to have assignments related to things. And while everything is fresh in your mind, that's the best time to take the test. Okay. Very, very important. The longer you wait.
They're closed.
Hello? Hello, iPhone? I don't remember you on the class roster.
Hello,
iPhone.
iPhone.
No, stop.
That's what you signed in as. I can't see, so there you go. All right. Anyway, as I was saying, the longer you go between this coursework and sitting for the exam, either one of the exams, the more will fall out of your head and the harder you will have to study to achieve the same accomplishment. It's a fact. You guys already know if you don't use it, you lose it. If you lose any of it, you're going to have to study that much harder to bring it back in your head. So when you sit down at those computers in the proctoring center, the information is readily available to you. Okay. You are welcome to forget it all the minute you leave the exam. And they will give you your score before you leave. For those of you who have not taken an HIMA exam before, you get your results right then and there, which is very exhilarating. Okay, I almost flew out of the building because I couldn't believe it. Actually, I was halfway through the parking lot as I was reading the paper. And I went, oh my gosh, I passed. Okay, so I also want to tell you something else is as you are going through all of the assignments in this course, I have known a couple of people, a colleague of mine back she was my study buddy when I was studying to take the RHIA. I've had some students also who have ended the exam with scores of 299, 298. Here's the bad part. You need 300 or more to pass. That really hurts. I mean, it hurts to not pass, but it really hurts when you only didn't pass by one question. So what I want to remind you of is this, as we embark on this journey together, every piece of information, every question, every answer is important. I don't want you giving away any points and say, oh, well, there are all, there are all these questions, 180 questions or something on the exam. If I get one wrong, it's still okay. No, I don't want you giving those away because chances are you will encounter some questions that you just get wrong or that you just don't know. Okay. So let's not give any points away, especially at this point as you're preparing. So how are you going to do that? As we go through, we'll talk about review books. We'll go over what's in the course. Okay. But what I want you to know is I am in this course 7 days a week, every day, rain or shine. I am here. I will come into the course usually in the morning, late morning, okay, 11, 12 o'clock. I promise you a response within 24 hours of when you ask me a question, okay? So when you get a question, when you're reading about something that you're or you answer, and I was sure I was right about that, and it's not, okay? I want you to email me, and I'll explain it to you 10 different ways from Sunday until the light bulb goes on over your head. I want you to seek not memorization, but understanding. When you intellectually understand the concepts, you will be able to critically think your way into the correct answer on the exam. If you're just trying to memorize stuff, well, I turned the wrong way. Okay. this book is your Oates Waters book. I know you have it electronically. When it comes to books like this, I prefer paper. And you can get paper if you want, but the school will provide you with the ebook, okay? Whatever is more comfortable to you. But my point is, would you look how thick this book is? This is considered the Bible for the RHIA. You're going to memorize all of this information? The only people that can do that is Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory and Spencer Reed from Criminal Minds. Okay, so now you know. This is what I watch. Okay, but the fact of the matter is I do not want you to there may be certain things that you'll have to memorize. Okay, that's just the nature of things, and repetition will get you there. Okay, but for all the other concepts, I want you to seek understanding. Oh, I understand why that's why that is. I understand how that came to be, whatever it is, okay? And if you can't figure that out, I want you to ask me. I am really good at interpreting blah, 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 blah into, oh, okay, that makes sense. All right. All right. So that brings us to, oops, our first, the first thing I want you to make sure is you received your access code to this electronic book, Oates and Waters, Health Information Management, probably back in maybe your first course in the program. All right. I want you to double check, make sure you still have that access code. Make sure that you can access this book. All right. It was published in, I think the copyright is 2016. They just redid the, 2016. They just redid the RHIA. But this book is going to have the majority of the information that you need. And again, I want to remind you, for those of you who want to take the CA, CP, HIMS, there will be a lot of that information here. I don't think I have this. No. All right. It's on my other bookshelf. I'll bring it next week. But the point is you want to, and I don't know about you, but when I was in school, I look at reading assignments and I go, there's got to be somewhere else I can find this information. I look at all of this and it just kind of blurs together. All right. So we're going to chop it up into little bite-sized pieces for you. And you need to plan that as well. By this point in time, you should know what your weak spots are and what your strengths are. And we're going to have a pre-RHIA exam, I want to say in week 2 or 3. So you can get a more exacting feel for what you can say, I know this, and focus on your weak spots, your knowledge gaps. Okay. I also have lots and lots of handouts for this. So again, if there's anything you don't like the way, or you don't understand the way it's written in this book, let me know. I will find you something that's written by a different author, or I will write something for you myself to make sure that you are understanding what we're talking about. This is not only important for this exam, these are the concepts, the details that you are expected to know as you move forward in health information management and health informatics in healthcare in the United States. Okay, so this is not just about the exam, this is about your career. Trust me when I say you want to be sitting in that conference room or on a Zoom, and you want to be the one with the correct answer. You don't want to be the one who's sitting there quietly in the corner as like nobody noticed I'm here, okay? Because that's not where promotions and that's not where success comes from. I assume, oh, I hate that word. I expect that you all are here going through all this work to get your master's degree because it means something to you more than just another line item on your resume. There's knowledge to be had here. And more importantly, I think that you all have a responsibility to go forward and make your little corner of healthcare in the United States that much better. Okay, that's why I teach. I can't fix everything by myself. I need all of you to help me. So I teach. So it's just me, but now you're going to all go out there and you're going to help make your little corner of healthcare in the United States better. And it already is. There's some things about healthcare that are super duper in the United States, but conversations for the future. Okay, make sure you have access to this book. And not only a HEMA, but I think Amazon.com may also have a used copy. And because this was published in 2016, if you like paper, you might be able to get a used copy at a really good discount, save some money, and still have the information. And then I will be going over the brand new categories that are on the new test. And I will fill in with handouts and conversations in these weekly chats and things like that. Okay, so you don't have to worry about not having what you need to succeed. Not having what you need to succeed. Okay, all right, what can I say? I'm not going to quit my day job and become a singer. All right, the Capstone project, worth it, a big chunk of points for you to pass this class. And let's remember, it might be the last class, but if you don't pass it, you don't graduate. All right. So I want you to take a peek at it. Your first assignment related to this project is not due until next week, week 2. And we will talk about it in more detail a little bit tonight. And of course, next Wednesday. But this is not something you want to wait until the last minute. All right. In addition, I want you to be thinking about creating something that you can actually put in your portfolio. So the next time you have a meeting to discuss your promotion or raise, or potentially a new job, you will have an excellent example of your critical thinking and planning skills and how you can handle our part. I know you've done part 1 and part 2 in previous classes. Our part 3, is focused on change management. And let me tell you how important that is. This important. Okay. Not only are we continually, I won't say constantly, but we're continually upgrading software, training our colleagues in the hospital or in the facility, wherever you're working, clinic, doctor's office, whatever. But one of the toughest things that we have to do when introducing something new, a new workflow, a new process, like you're now going to use this version of the EHR or this CPOE software, whatever it might be, the first thing we will have to deal with is fear of change. And just between us, this is a problem for more professionals than you would expect. And when I say the word professionals, I not only mean physicians and nurses, I also mean those in your executive suite. Okay. These are people who are used to knowing what they need to know and knowing how to get their jobs done. And now you're going to change them from a pencil with an eraser at the end to a Sharpie. And even though you're sitting there saying it's still a writing implement, it's okay, you could do this. Inside, they're afraid they're going to look foolish. So what comes out is bluster. What comes out is argumentative. We don't need that. What we have is fine. This is the way we've always done it. And you guys are the ones that are going to have to switch that around to get their acceptance to use what's new. This is all change management. Change management begins with a psychological, a mental change, and then proceeds into a physical change. You start with the psychology of change, and then you will be able to win them over and be able to teach them how to use the new software, and then they will be happy. Well, not everybody, because not everybody is ever happy, but you know what I'm saying, right? Right? I'm pointing at you, George.
Right, right.
I like that field. You look like
Thank
you're on
you.
a Texas highway with nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. I kind of like that. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. So this week is relatively easy. All right. In addition to making sure you have your access to the book. Okay. I want you to start reading over phase 3 of the project implementation. So by next Wednesday, the beginning of week 2, when it'll be due at the end of week 2, we can start talking about what you're thinking, what your questions are. Okay. Don't come next Wednesday naked. I don't mean that physically. I mean that, intuitively. Okay. And you'll get more out of it. In addition, you have your academic integrity pledge, your confidentiality statement, and your program handbook acknowledgement. You've probably done this in every course. You got to do it again. But I do want to tell you, I do want to give you a little warning. Okay. Dr. Safian is a stickler for APA. And Dr. Safian is a stickler for academic integrity. All right. So, a word to the wise. I am going to land on you if your sources are not cited properly. I am going to land on you if your sources are not current, which means with regard to technology, no more than 3 years old. With regard to anything else, no more than 5 years old. Healthcare and technology are moving too quickly. The innovative nature of what we do is moving forward too quickly for you to be bathing your brain in outdated information. Okay. I mean, prior to 2018, if you know anybody or work with any patients who have diabetes, prior to 2018, every patient with diabetes had to do finger sticks. In 2021, they don't have to do those anymore. Okay, that's a big, big innovation. And that's just one example. Okay, so make sure the education that you're getting here is current, is valid the minute you walk out that door after graduation, or maybe even tomorrow when you go to work, wherever you are at this point. All right, this week you have 2 discussions, the introductions, which are not graded, but you should participate anyway. And then you have a graded discussion talking about the RHIA. For those of you who have not yet decided to sit for the RHIA, go ahead and make believe like you're going to, because I'm going to work very hard over the next several weeks to convince you that you should take it. For those of you who already have the credential, it would be great for you to discuss anything that you have noticed with regard to what that having that credential has done for you. Okay. Maybe it's applying for a job where you see the RHIA is required. I can tell you in education, big time, the RHIA makes a huge difference if you have any hopes of wanting to not graduate, teach, and or do training. It's a very highly respected credential. So, all right. Okay. Any questions about this yet? No. All right. I have the chat box open in case you prefer to type instead of speak, but you're welcome to speak. All right. So as we discussed, step 1 of phase 3, which is your project, which will be your final project for this capstone, will be due the end of week 2, which is June 1st. So that's 1 week and 6 days from right this minute. All right. As I already said, the focus of this phase is change management. You have to get the buy-in from everybody in the building who is going to be working with the EHR. And one thing that you may or may not know is that an electronic health record, different people throughout the building are going to work with the EHR in different ways. You need to consider that not only for your training, but as you are talking to them about adjusting to the new way. All right, because you cannot talk to a physician about the new upgraded EHR with the same details and the same focus as you would to a coding professional in your HIM department. Both of them use the EHR, but in very different ways. So therefore, you will have to cater your sales pitch, if you will, differently. And that goes for a lot of different people around the entire facility. If we look at a hospital, there are going to be, your nurses don't use it the same way the physicians do. The imaging department and the radiologists do it differently. The people in administration and the executive suite don't use it the same way, even though it's the same exact software. So you must take that into consideration. Remember what I said before, psychology first, then action. And then your actions will be more beneficial and more productive. Okay. This is already written in the course, actually in week 1, you have a link to this. I just want to kind of warn you, the document that you have under that for that final project includes the information that you already dealt with in stage 1 and stage 2 in your previous courses. Also, I want to give you the heads up that you may need access to those previous parts that you already wrote in the previous classes. So if necessary, start doing a search on your computer to find it, to find them, I should say. All right. The post EHR implementation. So you implemented the new EHR in stage 2. This is now stage 3. We have to address that change, several situational, meaning physical changes, processes, technological components. You want to highlight the improvements, okay? And you need to make sure that you are being very specific. Think about yourselves in situations you're not going to fall for, oh no, this is better. I promise you, you're going to like this. You're not giving me anything. You're not giving me any meat. It's all fluff. Okay. You need that steak, not the sizzle. A little sizzle is okay, but you need meat in your plan. You need to have solid facts. This is great, Dr. McCarthy. I know that you love to dictate rather than type. The new system will let you dictate. You can speak right into it and it will type up what you say. Isn't that great? That's something that can help somebody get over their fear. Get past, oh, I hate this about that. So let's look at the parts. There are 7 steps that are that your final project will be comprised of for this stage. Creating a climate for change. That's that psychology that I was talking to you about. It has to start here. You have to start planning on how you're going to talk to these physicians, how you're going to talk to the nurses, how are you going to talk to the lab, how are you going to talk to imaging, how are you going to talk to the HIM people who are coding, those who are doing billing. What about administration? What about admissions? Everybody's going to have something different. They're going to have different work fears and concerns, and they are going to only be sated by you convincing them that you understand. Oh, you understand what I need when I'm coding. Okay, then that means when you tell me this is going to update this or that or whatever, now I know you understand what I do. So when you tell me it's better, I have a better chance of believing you. Okay. Workflow changes. Just remember that people who are left-brained are very logical. These are our scientists. These are people where everything has an order, okay? For the most part, you're physicians. Now, I'm not saying there are no physicians that exist with the right side of their brain. That's the creative part of your brain, okay? But you need to look at the fact that these are all seasoned professionals in whatever their job is, and their number one fear is the new system is going to make them look like idiots. Worse, that they're going to click in the wrong spot and a patient's going to die, and that's going to be the end of everything. Okay, you need to understand. Make their workflow changes logical, systematic, and address that connection between the way it used to be and the way it is now. Okay. Number 3, new technological skills. Okay. Now, some systems require you to use a mouse. Some systems require you to use a microphone, video, audio, click here, click there, whatever it might be. You need to address this. Training. Yes. Specialized, honed training. Don't make a doctor sit in a room for half an hour while you're training the nurses how to do their rounds. Or medication administration with a new barcode reader, which would be very, very good to prevent, you know. But the thing is then they're going to not trust you because you represent a waste of their time. Okay. You need to decide how these people are going to learn what they need to know. Do you need to create or bring them to a computer center so they're all on a computer working directly with it? Are you going to do one-on-one because physicians do not have a bulk of time, much less at the same time? Okay. Also the nurses, you got to think about, Are you going to take them off the floor during their regular hours so you can train them? But then you're going to have to get somebody to fill in for them on the floor because we cannot let patient care erode because you got to train them on the new system. Or maybe you do it on their off hours, in which case we got to pay them overtime. And also they might have an attitude and not the good attitude part. You got to think, these are things that you have to think about. How are they going to learn? Can you just tell them? Can you show them a video? Can you post videos and make them watch them at their own time? Right? Online learning, what a concept. All right, maintain the change through the development and implementation of policies and procedures. Now, just remember, policies are the rules. Okay, here's how you have to do this. You write your name at the top of the paper, then you answer question 1, then you answer question 2, whatever it might be. All right, the procedures are, you are always going to do this every day at the end of shift, every day at the beginning of shift, every 2 hours, whatever. Okay. Policies and procedures are the evidence that the facility is complying with the law. You also need evidence that you are training your people to understand the policies and procedures so they can follow the policies and procedures so nobody is breaking the law. That's very logical, isn't it? Okay. All right. Continue feedback on EHR use, problems and solutions, meaning while they're training and while they're beginning to use this, once it goes live, you got to make sure you keep that feedback. You got to make sure there's a help desk available to them. You got to make sure that they feel supported. And I don't know what that word is. Depute a person responsible for planning, implement. I think that should be assign a person responsible for planning, implementing, and evaluating change and recognizing why individuals resist change and how to overcome them. That is this whole thing in a nutshell. And what kind of makes me a little nervous is I don't know what that first word is, and I'm the one who created this PowerPoint, which means I'm the one that wrote that word. Okay. I guess I have some homework to do, figure out what the heck I was talking about. But the point is, I want you to understand it, and you understand how complex this is and how valuable this will be to somebody who's thinking about promoting you, putting you in charge, or hiring you. And this is evidence. You know, anybody can sit anywhere and say anything. Evidence. That's also why we like certification exams, because certification exams are provided by an independent professional source that can provide evidence of what is in your head, that you actually know stuff. Okay. Step 1 in phase 3 of this is you're going to create a climate of change, establish the need and justification of the change from paper-based medical record to EHR, and communicate with the stakeholders, users, about the benefits of EHR use to help change their behaviors to achieve organizational goals. So, first of all, 98% of all hospitals in the United States were using EHR by the end of 2017. So the fact that we actually have a facility here, but only 86% of physicians' offices and outpatient facilities were using EHR at the end of 2017. So the point is that to justify it, it's already happened, right? Didn't we do implementation in phase 2 in your last class or whatever class that was? So this is the psychological justification that I was talking about. You need to help these individuals understand why EHR is so much better and how much more they will love it as professional. I had an allergist that I worked with. Oh my gosh, this man, I'm telling you, we practically had to drag him through the office as he clutched onto reams of paper. There was no way he was going to give up his paper-based medical record. He literally was scared to death, although of course he didn't say that. And once he got eased into EHR, kicking and screaming the whole entire way, once he got used to it, now he loves it. You know, that's then the, oh, we should have done this sooner kind of attitude. Okay. I want to tell you something else. I hate the word stakeholders. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it because it's generic. I do not want you to use the word stakeholders unless you follow this by explaining to me who you think these stakeholders are. Because there are lots of students, I'm not saying you guys, but there are lots of students who say, oh yes, we're going to communicate with the stakeholders. And then I ask the question, well, who are these people? And they don't know. Which means it's an empty cup of knowledge. There's nothing there. You have to know who these stakeholders are. You think about it. You want to talk about it privately with me? Email me, we'll send something up. Okay. That's why I told you, I'm so glad today is day 1 and I'm letting you know, you are actually going to have to use your brains in this course. Sorry. Critical thinking is throughout this whole thing. You're actually going to have to engage your brains. Okay. And you got to match the benefits of the EHR to help the individual groups. Now, obviously, this is not a real facility. So we can't say Dr. Smith and Dr. Jones and Dr. Johnson. All right. But you can imagine them, create them in your head and say, this group of doctors, these oncologists, okay. However, the orthopedists are very into, okay. Yes, you are also going to have an age factor, but not the way you think. Because a lot of people assume that adults in their 30s are very keen and all up to date with all technology, and people in their 50s and 60s, not so much. Because, you know, people in their 50s and 60s are the elderly. All right. So what I always say is this. I want to remind you that Bill Gates is 66 years old and he knows a lot about technology. All right. So do not make assumptions about age. Find out who's into technology, who's open to having the latest and the greatest and the newest bells and whistles, and who is going to say, please, not me, please, can I just use my pad and my paper, please, 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 I'll have my secretary type it up. Oh yeah, we don't have secretaries anymore, so you can forget that. All right. You need to let them, you need to find out, and this should be part of your process. I'm just saying, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay. This should be part of your process, is to find out at what level, technologically speaking, your audience is, so you can train them in accordance with their mindset and their capabilities. Don't judge them by age. I'm here to tell you, there are 30-year-olds who can barely use their phones. Okay. Do the research, find out from these people what their expectations are. What do they hate about the old system? If they had a wish list. Now, you should have technically speaking, or the way I work, you should have done this when you prepared the RFP back in stage 1. So if you did that back in stage 1, pull out that paper and get some of that information and use it. Okay. If not, it's not too late. Okay. Questions? Not all at once. Okay. All right. Because I gave you some insight into Dr. Safian, who is me, and yes, I am talking about myself in the third person because I want you to know this is serious. I take this very seriously. I will have no part in stealing your tuition money, which means I will have complete input into the value of the education you are getting in this course. When you do research, I do not want to see any sources older than 2018 regarding healthcare technology, software, hardware, whatever. Okay. Other healthcare topics, you can go all the way back to 2016. The rule is no more than 5 years. I know if we go 21, 20, 19, 18, 17 would really be 5 years, but we're only in May. We're not even halfway through 2021 yet. So I'm going to give you a little teeny weeny bit of leeway. Okay. But as you're doing your research on Google and Google Scholar and wherever, I want you to look for sources that are from 2021 first, and that are quality, credible, trustworthy sources. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. Depute, appoint or instruct someone to perform a task for which one is responsible. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. See, I love to learn new things. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Trustworthy, credible. .gov, yes. .org, it depends. If we're talking about the American Hospital Association or Healthcare Finance Managers or AHIMA or HIMSS, yes. If we're talking about liveforever.org, no. Actually, I'm not going to say no. I want you to go in and look in the about and find out who these people are. But I think you'll be amazed with some of the orgs and some of the .coms. You may find people are writing these great treatises about health information management and what we do in health informatics. And when you look at their bio, they are public relations professionals. Now, I'm not saying that they can't learn and that they don't know what they're talking about. But the only way you could know if they know what they're talking about is compare it to another already existing trustworthy source. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking you have pretty limited time for the work you could do in this course because you have lives, work, personal lives. So therefore, why not go to credible and trustworthy right away? Just a thought. All right. Now, I also created a video on Research Anything. That is the YouTube. Okay. It does not have my name on it. I have my own YouTube channel called Educate Video. But that is and I'll be posting this recording up in announcements to take a look and just remind you about how to determine if, and I'll also be posting some stuff in announcements. Okay. how to determine if it's United States source or another country, which is something else. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have things to learn from other countries. Okay. But you have to identify that you're talking about a system that's in Canada or Australia or United Kingdom, because their healthcare system is very different. And when we're talking about rules and regulations and laws, their laws are very, very different. For example, HIPAA only exists in the United States. Now, Australia and the UK and Germany and everybody else may have their own version of it, but it's not identical. And considering that we are having this course at the University of Maryland in the United States, we are preparing you to get a job or continue your job in the United States. We want to make sure that everything you are writing about and learning is valid in the United States. So if you have an example from Germany, that's fine. Just make sure you say that in your assignment. You have to say, for example, in Germany, they do a 8, 9, 10. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Whereas in the United States, we do 1, 2, 3. Verstehst? That means you understand? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. One more thing. I also want you to start thinking about the RHIA. So when you go into a HIMA, which is an org, by the way, ahima.org, and you go to the tab that says RHIA, you will find the candidate guide. Okay. They just kind of redesigned it, so it may not look exactly like that, but it's free. You want to download it. It has everything you ever wanted to know about sitting for the exam. Okay. Also, if you are not already a member of a HIMA, now is the time to do it, because when you are a student, you only pay like 45 or 50 bucks for a 1-year membership. As a grown-up, I had to pay $165. Okay, yes, you're right. I'm not so much a grown-up all the time, but for literal purposes, I am. Okay. All right. And next week, I will have information on where to find the information on the CPHIMS and the CAHIMS, with the only difference is the amount of experience. The fact that you are attending the University of Maryland gives you eligibility to sit for the RHIA, which requires the school to be approved by a HIMA, which we are. Okay. We are also affiliated with HIMSS, so you have that for that. However, when you look at the CAHIMS, I will feed you in a minute. I'm sorry, that's my Yorkshire Terrier who's upset that I didn't feed him earlier. Okay. The difference between the CA and the CP has to do with actual experience on the job. So as you're making this decision, think about that, look at that, decide where it is you want to go. And I'm happy to talk to all of you, any of you, whomever. Email me. I will respond within 24 hours, 7 days a week. Okay. We can email back and forth. We can set up an appointment to talk on the phone. We can set up a private Zoom or FaceTime. I'm very flexible, technologically speaking, even though I am not 30 anymore. Okay. All right. I made it under an hour. I saw you looking at your watch, Brian. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, Oliver. Yes, Oliver has a question which I will address once we're done. Do any of you have a question? All righty then. I will see you in the discussion boards. I will be in email every day, 7 days a week. And whatever you need from me, I am here to support you. This is not adversarial. Okay? Have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Bye.